we've got quite a few people from around the globe here, Craig. All righty, so shall we start? I think it's time. It's actually perfect. I think we can start rolling right now, Craig. And so the floor is yours and mine. And I'm going to start by saying welcome, everybody, and g'day. And so today we're just doing something super special. We're talking about why Kangaroo Island needs to be on your list when you head next to Australia. So I'm just going to ask a question to get everybody started, and please type in the chat box if you could. Have you heard of Kangaroo Island before? So we want to know, just kind of gauge about the interest of who's been there, and is it, if you have been there, feel free to say when you have been there. So we just want to gauge. If you haven't, it's okay. You can say no, and where you've been. So, okay, Phillip Island, this really helps you guys. Thank you so much for adding along here. So Sharon, you are going to get there someday. You missed out for sure. Okay, it's on your list now. Great, I love that. Oh, Marie's been there. So Rhonda, you will get there, I promise. And so there's some people who haven't been there yet. So just learning about it for the first time. We've got a few people, Craig, who's learning about it for the first time. And Rhonda says she's going to promise she's going to get there. So got a couple of people. It's been a long time, almost 10 years, and a lot of dreamers. So we have a couple who've been to Phillip Island or something similar, Tasmania. So it'd be nice to be able to touch on that, Craig, and we'll go ahead from there. Thanks everyone for being engaging. This is what we want to be. You know, you have me all the time in the US and my team, but you'll never have a chance to sit and chat with Craig like this. So let's make sure if you've got a question, now's the time to ask it. There are no silly questions, and it's Craig and I here for you. You actually have a captured audience sitting here with you. All right, Craig. So let's roll.
All right. So we're opening up with Remarkable Rocks, which is in the big national park that covers the west end of Kangaroo Island. Kangaroo Island is really, really big. It's like the same size as Long Island, or Long Island as they call it over there. You're looking at 90 miles by 35. So big space, not many people. 1/3 of the island is national park or conservation park, lots of farmland, and really, I guess one of the things which we often hear from guests is, at last I feel like I'm in Australia. So it's almost a microcosm of the country. So red dirt roads, beautiful coastline, beaches, friendly locals, great food and wine, and of course, with a name like Kangaroo Island, all that crazy wildlife that hops around the place. And so we're going to just take you through, and happy to for you to pop any questions in any time, and really want you to make the best of the opportunity to chat to me here on Kangaroo Island, and Corinne, who's been here many times and really knows the place very, very well.
Yeah, holds a soft spot in my heart for sure, Craig. I can't wait to get back there, matey. So here you are. Here's our mug shots today, just so you remember what we look like.
Yeah, proving that we're the right people.
We've known each other for a long time. So for those who have just joined us, this sign is classic Kangaroo Island. Did you bring your beer along?
Just had a kookaburra, just starting to warm up. The alarm clock.
Oh.
They're flying around, they're not saying much. So the kookaburras are the biggest of the kingfishers, and they're literally our alarm clock in the morning. They make a there we go. Sorry for the distraction. That's part of the fun.
Yeah, I love it. It makes me so happy. That makes me very much connected with home. So thanks for that, Craig. I'm glad we got to hear that. Boy, that's pretty cool. I'm so glad you heard it, Jocelyn. That's amazing. So thanks for everybody for being on mute. The sign says, did you bring a beer along? We do mean that. And we just feel free to ask questions and chat. I love the engagement. We just want you to feel like you're sitting with Craig outside here on his back deck, looking at the rest of the surroundings of the bush, and we're having a conversation. So from here, all yours. Oh, look at that. It's looking good.
Sun's coming up. Lovely early morning. All right. So, and just a little background on Down Under endeavours.
Yeah, so we're here, we handcraft trips, but like as we were talking about, this is a day about Craig and Kangaroo Island. And my team here know Craig and his family really, really well. This is what we do. We get you to meet the locals. You are actually experiencing their region through their eyes. And so it's really important that you actually understand that when you're traveling with us, you are meeting like people like Craig and his family, and they're going to be life-changing experiences. And so we're bringing them to you, but know that this is part of what makes our trip so special and what makes my team so special. So thanks for that, Craig. And we'll go along and hand it off here for you. And this is all about asking Craig questions. So I've got your question then, Juan. So we'll bring it up. We are covering fires today. So thank you for listing that here. Keep coming with questions, everybody. Thank you.
No worries.
Craig, what do you do, Craig?
Okay, so our job is really to showcase the very best of Kangaroo Island. Our community is really productive, really creative. We've got an extraordinary array of wildlife habitat, landscapes, and we really try to give you a taste of the island as well. So yeah, it's really combining that, that strong sense of nature and just the wide open spaces with some awesome hospitality. So the image there on the right is me cooking lunch at one of our lunch sites. So we always include beautiful meals, al fresco, picnics, barbecues, local wines, and really try to share some of the lifestyle as well as those other elements that are on your must-do list when you're in Australia, the amazing open spaces and the wildlife. That's Janet, myself, and Blair and Sky. So family business. We've been going for a very, very long time, and really, we find it's quite a privilege to be able to host you here in our backyard, literally in many, many cases, and share the very best of our island home. It's not just about us. We've got a broad range of people who back us, either our staff or ecologists, artists, farmers, the winemakers, and we try to bring all of that together as part of the experience. And of course, with any enterprise, you need to get some good strategic advice. So we get that from our board of directors. And
Dougie and Huey, they are very much part of the family here.
Hey, Doug, come here.
Oh, so Dougie loves to have a conversation. G'day, Dougie. Hi, Puppers. Hello, boy. How are you doing?
I know where his brother's got. He's probably asleep under a tree somewhere.
Oh, good to see you, Dougie. I love it. So it's just it's a full family affair for sure.
Yes. So in terms of the opportunities on the island, we do either small group tours, so you can join a small group of other travellers, small group as in a maximum of 10 people. And we also do lots and lots of private, where you just, if you're coming down as a couple or with some friends, or multi-generational trips, we do a lot of that. And our style is really conversational. So it's not like a talking head at the front of a vehicle and, on your left is a such and such. It's really about listening to who we've got on board and then talking about that. So we might have someone who's in healthcare at home, so they want to know, well, how does that work? What about tell me about the flying doctor? What about can you have, if someone's in childbirth, they have trouble, what can you do? So it's really about that personalization and, just enjoying the landscape that we're lucky enough to live in.
Hey, Craig, I got a question for you from Marie. How's Jamie? He was their guide.
Jamie is going well. He's been off island with family down at Mount Gambier for the last week, but I reckon he's back. He and Gaynor are back, and he's full of stories, and nothing changes. He's quite the character.
Absolutely.
But thank you. He'll be very excited to know that you've remembered him and asking after him. So I'll make sure I'll pass that on. And just a few slides just to start, just to talk a little bit about our sustainability. It's a really important part of how we operate in terms of ensuring that what we do, and we've been doing it for over 30 years now, is available tomorrow, next year, 5 years time. So that's, in terms of the wildlife encounters. And we've really developed relationships with individual animals in particular places where they're used to us quietly moving through the landscape and sharing their space. And we can see them doing what they want to do rather than reacting to us. We don't feed them, we don't handle them. It's very much at a respectful distance, but we get the privilege of being able to see these animals at close range out in the bush or down the beach with the sea lions there. And often people say, wow, I feel like I'm on Discovery Channel. It's like right there, that sense of being on the spot in their habitat. And it really is a privilege. My background is wildlife management, so I've always had a passion for wildlife, but also sharing it with curious travelers. And part of it is really getting people out in the bush and explaining how different elements work. So on the right there is a wedge-tailed eagle, massive eagle, the biggest bird of prey in Australia. And they're the hunters for those little wallabies in the middle. So you won't see the wallabies out open during the day. They've got to be deep in the bush. So if we want to see it, then here's me and a little young bloke there heading into the bush to learn about the wallabies, and we're able to see them as they're hiding in the bush.
Nice.
And someone asked about the fires, and I'll go into this in a little more detail in a minute. But part of the Aussies always talk about, fire's a natural part of the bush, and our bush is resilient. What does that actually mean? How does that work? So we literally go out and see the Banksia seeds, which are opened up. That plant, those little pods there with the little mouths open, they will only open up when there's a fire. So if we don't get fires, that plant doesn't reproduce. So you've gone beyond being fire adapted to being fire dependent.
That's amazing. And then, I actually haven't even seen that before, Craig. I've never seen that in person. It's brilliant.
Yeah, it's really interesting. When the plants flower, the remnants of the dried flowers provide, when they burn, they provide just enough heat to open those seed pods. If there was more, the whole thing would burn away and you'd lose your seed. So it's just amazing this the adaptation to a land that's always burned. It's been there. On the right there, that's some eucalypts, and it looks like vines coming up the trunk. That's actually little dormant buds that just burst through and start recovering the energy back into the tree again. We saw these buds bursting 7 days after the fires. Wow. So that's how fast it is. And people say, well, how do the koalas survive? And no doubt, not going to sugarcoat it, animals perish in fires, but it's a natural reset. And we've had documented evidence of koalas being able to survive on dried leaves long enough that these buds come through and they're back on having a nice fresh green food within a matter of a couple of weeks. So they do it tough for a little while, but then boom, they're back into it again. So it's a really important part of our storytelling and really giving people context and understanding.
So Craig, one slight in-depth question, if we could, just a short 30-second answer, if we could. One is asked, is KI fully recovered from the fire brush, or what parts have and what are still to be recovered? So I can see behind you there, it's looking pretty good right now. So
yeah, we were lucky to escape. The fire got within a mile of us, but a 2 a.m. wind change meant that our house is.
I remember.
Our house is still here.
Hey.
Look, it's there's some areas where the vegetation or clifftop vegetation is very, very low. That's actually already back to the maximum height it's going to be. So it's probably providing a lot of the habitat value that it did before in terms of physical shelter. There's other areas like the eucalypt you see on the image on the right there. That'll take a while longer, but meanwhile, it's providing habitat for different sorts of animals, and there are different plants that will flower like right across Flinders Chase National Park. Now there's lots and lots of grasses, and people driving through say, "Oh, we didn't see any kangaroos or wallabies." They're there, but they're really dispersed. Whereas, in a few years' time, they're going to be back to being on the edge where the bush meets the pasture because that's where it's an easy feed. At the moment, that easy feed is right through.
Right. A lot of the people here on this call will probably be looking at traveling 2022 and beyond. So I feel very confident that you can certainly get a great experience during that time.
Yeah. And the other thing to remember is that whilst the fires were historically larger than we've experienced, certainly in my time, it was just over 40% of the landscape, which means we've got nearly 60% that was unburned. So you can compare unburned and burned. We can have a look at how the wildlife is behaving in the unburned area compared to where we're finding it in the burnt landscape. So really confident that we can provide a compelling deep wildlife experience across the island.
Perfect. Thanks, Matty.
And so this is some of our team, and the young fellow on the far right. There's Kathy right on the end, and the next one, that's Jamie. So there he is. So we had the question from Murray before. So the team are really, really invested in the community, and as a family, we're very active in helping out. That's Janet and I on the far left there, helping the cleanup at Southern Ocean Lodge after the fires there, and on the right, that's me in my CFS, the Country Fire Service outfit, where we're doing a backburn with a fire at Ocean View Eco Villas in December. So we've had a couple of fires this year, and only yesterday they were doing some control burns. So doing that fuel reduction. So it's a ongoing. It's part of what we live with as Australia. It's either floods or fires. It's a very, very dynamic landscape we live in. And in terms of another part of our sustainability, that's really about supporting our neighbours, and we literally buy locally. So next door, honey, the olive oil, the big dog up there is he's looking after the chooks, so that's where we get our eggs from. And what that means, because we have really good relationships with our neighbours, which is a good thing, we get access to some awesome experiences. So on our Fine Flavours tour, we go and do a tailgate tasting of olives and olive oil with Dominic and Michael here, who are father and son team. They've got 5,000 olive trees, and we just pull up in the groves, pop out the table, and then just have a bit of an understanding of what their life is like. We also have, and this is one of the things which is a positive that's coming out of the fires, is the relationship we've developed with the ecologists who've been doing a lot of the work post fire. So just to explain what you're looking at with the black and white there, that's an infrared shot taken by a camera, which is in Heidi's hands there to the right. That little creature is a Kangaroo Island dunnart. It's a same family as the Tassie devil, but tiny, 40% lighter in body weight than a mouse.
So Craig, this is probably a good question to answer in this point here. Juan has asked a great question. What are the main endemic species there are on Kangaroo Island and not anywhere else in Australia?
And with our mammals, in terms of an absolute endemic species, we've only got the one, and that's this little guy, which is the Kangaroo Island dunnart. So a little carnivore, so a little hunter that only comes out at night. And you can see there's a bit of like a mesh behind the just a little sort of grid there. If you'd imagine stringing a table tennis net for 30, 40 yards through the bush and held up with little pins, what happens is the little fellas like this one who come along at night, it might be a dunnart, it might be a heath mouse, it might be pygmy possums, which are little tiny possums.
Yeah.
They come along and they hit this barrier, and then they try and go around it, and that takes them past a camera on a post, and so they take a selfie. So we can come along with Heidi and her team, pick the camera up and flick back through and go, dunnart, pygmy possum, echidna. Oh, there's my foot from yesterday. A big bush of a kangaroo, bandicoots, whatever's out in the bush. So this has really given us a different insight and great. It's something you're never going to find on your own. You're never going to find if you are self-driving. So it's really part of that value we're able to add to really, lift the hood and have a look at what's going on and what's driving this place.
Nice.
We can join the guys with KI Marine Adventures and get out on the water, and they use a very benign way of tagging dolphins, and that is by literally taking video or images and then comparing them with their database, and then they'll know who's had a baby this year. Again, she's a really good mum. This is a third baby in 3 years. Hey, this little guy here, he was in a different mob around American Riverway. So they've been able to track movement between different pods. And this is all done without impacting the animals, not changing their behavior, just slowly getting them used to us being around them and sharing their space. So that's very consistent with the way that we really try and...
Craig, what's the best time of year, months-wise, to do that? Is it year-round, or is there certain months that you recommend are better than others for success to be able to interact with the dolphins?
It's year-round. Water temperature varies a lot, and I'm going to try and it'll vary from about 13 degrees Celsius, which is 56, so that's rather refreshing, up to about 22, which is mid 70s, which is and that's what it would be like this time of year. So
we can help anybody with that if you want to know a little bit more detail about what the temperature will be like when you're thinking of heading there.
If you're used to swimming in California, then anytime. If you're used to swimming in Florida, you're going to go, oh my God, it's freezing. So but it's a great experience. Really is a fun thing to do. And we can also link up. Oh, just had a wattlebird come and say good morning. Dr. Peggy Rissmiller is literally the world expert on echidnas. She grew up in the US, did her postgrad work in Germany, and has lived on Kangaroo Island for 35 years. So she has a very confused accent. And she is literally the person who David Attenborough has been to visit to find out what's going on with echidnas.
Very cool.
So she can come and join us. This was a family in December, family from Melbourne, and she came and joined us for lunch at one of our lunch sites and bought all of her kits, and really just gives a wonderful understanding of the ecology, but also what her life is like in radio tracking these animals. And I didn't finish my explanation of the species, subspecies. Whilst we've only got the one species, we have many subspecies of mammals that are Kangaroo Island specials, including the echidna here. Echidna, brush-tailed possum, Tamar wallaby, Kangaroo Island kangaroo, Rosenberg's goanna, all of those are Kangaroo Island subspecies. And 18 of our bird list runs to 267 species, and 18 of those have got a local variant, which is a Kangaroo Island subspecies. When it comes to plants, because they're far less mobile, they've got they can only move between generations rather than within one. There's a lot more island endemics. There are 52 last count of species that are only found on Kangaroo Island. So there's plenty of stuff. It's a bit like the Galapagos. So you get that genetic coming through, driven by isolation.
And it's kind of nice. We're just answering a couple of questions here, Jeff. We can chat to you about when to go, because it really is depending on what you want to see and do on the island, because as you're seeing today, there is so much to do, so we can help you with that. And Catherine, I cannot believe you held an echidna. That's pretty awesome. But I've gone to Kangaroo Island and seen animals and species, plants, flora and fauna that I've never seen as an Aussie. So it's really a special place of just preserved perfectly. Really good.
Yeah, and also just think about what else you want to do in Australia too, because that comes into play as well.
Absolutely.
This opportunity here, the fellow on the left is Professor David Payton. They've got this massive rewilding project at Cygnet Park, and we're doing some bird banding. So we're helping out with the research where they put a little bracelet on the birds, and there's a different size for different species. It's got an individual number on it. So you're able to see, whether there's local movements, how long they live. There's all sorts of stuff that you can find out from those bands, and we're literally assisting with that primary research to see who's coming back into that landscape where they've converted what was previously farmland into really, really complex bush. So it's a really positive thing to be involved with, and we find our guests are really quite excited that this can actually be done. That you hear so much bad news about what's happening as far as environmental degradation, but the fact that we can turn it around and re-establish habitat is pretty exciting.
Absolutely.
And this is just a little bit more from Heidi's crew with Land for Wildlife, and the little creature in the middle is a western pygmy possum, and the one on the right is a little pygmy possum. Now, I'm not describing it, that's its name. It is a little pygmy possum, and check out the size of it on the thumb. That's not a baby, that's adult. It's one of the smallest mammals on Earth. And unlikely to see them, but we might be lucky enough to see them when we go and check out the camera work, as Peter and Nabija are doing there on the left. We also have a program which includes interacting with some of our creative artists. So there's over 400 people on the island involved in visual arts. So we can go to public galleries. Anyone can do that, but we can also go to home studios and actually spend go and have a morning cuppa with Janine or Mark or some of these guys who are our friends and neighbours, and they're really excited to share their passion and their creativity with us as their guests.
Yeah, I really like that roundout, because part of what makes KI so special are the people, and so the fact that the people and we can arrange that ahead of time and organize doors to be open is one of the fun things that we love to do, really personalize it.
Yeah, and one of the things which I found important with our operations is really getting independent verification that we're actually doing the right thing. We live on an island, it's quite remote, so to be able to link up with the Ecotourism Association of Australia and making sure that we're benchmarking our performance and everything we do from that sustainability piece is important. So we've had this highest level of accreditation for probably be close to 23 years now. So that's an important part of what we do. Just a little bit about the fires now. Just we had that question earlier. This is only 7 days after fires, so the koalas are moving back through the landscape. Undoubtedly, there was some that suffered, and we have literally not had a higher level of care and support for the wildlife post fire. It was quite extraordinary, and we've very happy to say that I think there's only a handful of the animals which were burned that are still in care. The rest have been returned back into the wild. So that's pretty good.
And thanks for those people who are on the call who really helped us raise money. So we did raise a lot of funds for the bushfire effects. And thank you for all your support last year on that.
Look, it was unbelievable. We, as a community, we're so incredibly, fortunate, and the outpouring of assistance for all areas of environment, of community, of wildlife was just extraordinary. So yes, thank you very much. And Corinne, I touched on a lot of this before, as far as the seed dormancy being broken.
We can move on, Craig. No worries at all. Yeah.
The plants on the right there, that's that same day, 7 days after the fire. So already green shoots coming back. These are some kangaroo big footprints right in the centre of the shot there. The kangaroo footprints, and literally the footprints have been filled up by those little black and reddy brown. They are just countless seeds that have dropped from the seed pods which have been opened up by the fire. So it really is a natural reset for the environment here.
And it's fun to look at your background right now and to see what it was like early last year to now look at you. It's crazy to see this.
Yeah, and these are the little red sprouts there. That's again that same day, 7 days after the fire, and that root ball there would now be probably as big as me with beautiful bright green. This is more coming up.
And Craig, just for reference, you are very tall. So you are, how tall are you?
Even taller than you.
Yeah, you're anybody taller than me. 6 foot plus. There we go.
Yeah. And in terms of the key wildlife encounters, very happy to say that yes, they're all still available. So there's been a lot of survey work done post fire, and there's good reason for confidence in the survival of all of those key species. We've been doing lots of filmmaking over the past year, really, and that was really started by just trying to reassure people that we were going to be okay as far as post fire. And then when COVID came, we really continued to do the filmmaking as a way of staying in touch with everybody and letting people know what's going on. So feel free to have a look on our website. There's lots and lots of virtual tours that we've done where it's no talking, it's literally just a point of view as if you're walking through the landscape with some of that. And then there's others. We did a 10-week session, which was a series of live from Kangaroo Island, where single species and just going out in the bush and just sitting quietly talking about the behaviour we're seeing. And so just to give you a really good understanding of what the experience is like here.
Yeah, if anybody's interested in that, we'd love to share it with you. Some of them are 10, 14 minutes long. It's absolutely what we need when you need an escape from your daily routine right now. So if you're interested, please make sure to reach out to us and we'll make sure we get those links to you and you can just explore at your leisure. It's fantastic. It's a really great job, Craig. Nice job by you and Blair.
Yeah, and one of the things we did when we realized that so many people were like in lockdown and had no access to open space, no contact with nature, we thought, okay, well, one of the things we can do in terms of coming from a point of empathy and support is to share some of our amazing open space. Blair, our son, who's working the business with us, did these beautiful drone videos, and just with music, so it's almost meditative, just to give people
really
a bit of the place and just give a little bit of an escape just for a moment.
And if you have a smart TV, it's nice to play that and to put it up there and just have it in your background for a while. It's fantastic. I was really impressed.
And we had to we did a lot of work on Zoom, so you had to get this is the weekly meeting. Okay, everybody, how you going? Can everyone come in? Stanley, Pamela, Sam the Seal. Yeah, so just finding having a bit of fun with it, and just trying to find ways of keeping people engaged. So that's part of what we've been doing.
If anybody wants one of those as Zoom background, also let us know. We'll make sure we get those to you.
Yes, and again, just thinking, how do we connect? How do we stay in touch with people? So we got a whole lot of, and this was a bit of a bringing together a few different bits of technology. We had images of the island that we wanted to share. So they were on Facebook, but each one of those had a song that was associated with it. So you can go onto Apple Music or to Spotify and look for the Exceptional Kangaroo Island playlist. So, and again, a bit of fun with this and having some dad jokes. The Scarlet Robin there, that was Rockin' Robin. The beautiful little kangaroo down the bottom was Van Morrison, Brown Eyed Girl. Electric Blue was the Wren. Solid Rock, good Aussie song there for Remarkable Rocks.
Absolutely, Electric Blue.
What would it be down in the bottom right-hand corner? Bit of ZZ Top, Echidna, Sharp Dressed Man. So the dad jokes are all coming out with that.
I love it. I wouldn't expect anything less, Craig.
And look, it was fun because I'd have friends from the States or Canada, just send me notes. Say, oh, I'm in the kitchen cooking dinner and listening to your playlist, and so just that sense of connection across the globe, which is such an important part of why we travel. It's just making those personal connections and then staying in touch with new friends.
Yeah.
The other thing which we've done with we were shut down by the COVID thing. We were declared a non-essential business, so we kept our team together with some events like a tree planting day. So replacing, this was an area which did get impacted by fire, so we went out and they wanted to re-establish some trees which had been young trees that have been taken out. Big trees you don't have to worry about because they'll come back, but this was an area where they'd done some re-veg and the plants had been destroyed, so we replanted. So just trying to find ways of being involved with some
community. Hey Craig, if anyone wanted to come out and let you know ahead of time they'd like to plant a tree and leave their little mark on Kangaroo Island, can you arrange that?
Yeah, it's got to be the right time of year because obviously this time of year with it still being the soil's pretty dry, it's not really the time to do it. But as soon as we've had some opening rains, which I expect sort of from any time in the next 4 to 6 weeks, from then on we can usually do that.
Perfect.
The little dun art that we talked about before, and all the other little blokes, little guys in the landscape, when the fire really opened things up, and so there was a bit of an experiment undertaken where the Heidi and her team from Land for Wildlife wanted a hand. So this is all of our mob, all of the guides, and you can see down the bottom there's a bit of a green tunnel going through there with some mesh. So we built these 30-yard long tunnels through the bush, which is made out of hoops of poly pipe and some mesh and some shade cloth, and that was to really provide some enhanced habitat for lizards, birds, the dunarts. They took to it the day we put them in. So those little cameras that I showed you before, they were, some of those were put in to see who was in there. Zoom, zoom, zoom. It was like running across the traffic
highway, the bush highway.
Yeah. So again, trying to find ways of how we can be involved and make a difference, and it's a really positive thing to do. Just want to give a bit of an idea of some of the accommodations across the island in terms of the range of places that you might want to stay. This is June House, which is at Emu Bay, and you can see in the background there's a long sandy beach. That's about 5K, so that's like what, three and a bit miles long. Yeah, beautiful long sandy beach, and a lovely contemporary beach house. We've also, in terms of just trying to stay in business through this shutdown, not many restaurants were open on the island, so we decided that we would create one. So this is our neighbour's shearing shed in the middle of a massive.
That looks like a shearing shed.
Yeah, and there's a little ute there, a pickup. You can see a white ute.
Oh my gosh, I do see that now.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's like, it was like Jack and the Beanstalk. The bean crop was about 6 feet tall, and in the midst of that, we did a restaurant.
Fantastic.
So just trying to see how, and this was all locals who were coming along for dinner. A lot of the restaurants with COVID rules, you had restricted space, so they were all booking out. So we thought, well, hang on, we've got this massive space here. Even under the restrictions, we could still do 65 people for dinner. So we did a few of these as pop-up restaurants. So just trying to share some of the experiences that we've had and the things that we've done to stay engaged over the year. We've also taken the opportunity with the shutdown to really review our touring program, and we've come up with a selection of itineraries just to give a different starting point depending on who you are as a traveller. So if you're really into your food and wine, like Corinne, you love the local wines and all the local produce, this would be a good one for you to come next time you come, which is fish farmed and fermented. So each of these are 3-day programs. They include all of the wildlife and landscape elements that people expect. So the sea lions on the beach, the koalas in the trees behind me, roos, wallabies, all the birds. But it also has time to go and visit some of the producers. So the wine, the gin, the honey producers, olives, oysters. If you're coming out to celebrate a special anniversary or a birthday, we've got a luxe couples program. So that includes visiting some of the artists, the gin distillery, beautiful beaches, the dolphins. If you're more active, you want to do get out there and hiking, cycling, get out on the water, then the Active Explorer program might be something to make you start thinking about some of the potential experiences you might have. If you're traveling with little tackers, little travelers, then young families. So
kids at heart.
Yeah. And awesome. Multi-generational travel is something that we see a lot of. So grandma, grandpa coming out with the grandchildren and want to really give them a wonderful sense of time together and exploring and try some different things. Conservation Connection, so linking up with some of those programs that I mentioned before, with Peggy, with Heidi, with the glossy black cockatoo recovery
team. That's a really special bird there. That one's amazing. That's so special to be honest.
The top left there, that's literally in the front yard behind me, and that's a female glossy black cockatoo. That's a Kangaroo Island subspecies. They got down to 110 individuals. They're now up over, and that was like 20 years ago. They're now up over, last count in October was 458. So
that was a highlight for me visiting you last time, Craig, was to actually see one of those in the wild. I've got a question here. What kind of dolphins are these?
They are common bottlenose dolphins. So that's the ones we see most often inshore, and then common dolphins further out. And then some of the other cetaceans in the winter, southern right whales, occasionally humpbacks, and amazingly for me down at Cape Takuti down in the southwest a few years ago, I saw 2 blue whales, and that was like, wow, that was such a treat.
That's incredible. Yeah, that's incredible.
I wouldn't say Kangaroo Island is a whale watching destination, but if you're here between, say, May and October, and we spend enough time looking, you'll be very, very good chance, particularly down the southwest, of spotting one.
Yeah, that's a really good point, because the coastline is so dramatic. It's really rugged, and just the rocks are crazy. It's just amazing how that rolls out into the ocean there. You could see how easily it would be to spot one because you've just the wide open spaces. But yeah, you need a couple of days, I think, for sure. There's so much to see.
If you're into birds, then we've got a program which is more sort of habitat based, different habitats for different sorts of birds. And some of these are the Kangaroo Island subspecies, the superb blue wren down the bottom right, and glossy black cockatoos are subspecies as well. If you're into photography, then we've got our photo safari program. So
incredible,
right place for right time for some beautiful images. And then just a bit of detail here on the amazing diversity of media that our artists use. So ranging from ceramics, oils, acrylics, glass, beads there. Assemblage art with Janine there with those seeds in the bottom, and also some photography there. So
those are individual seeds there she's creating into the circle.
Yeah, they're actually the seeds of the drooping she oak, which are what the glossy black cockatoos feed on. So that's part of the fun of just trying to join the dots of just all these different elements that we're using, and the birds are eating it, but we're using it to make beautiful art. So one of the other things we've done in the last year is introduce a new program, which is e-biking. So E for electric. So it's not like a motorbike where you just push the button and off you go. You have to pedal, but when you're pedaling, it's a gives you a bit of an assist. So that gives us access to some of the back roads and, across, the open spaces there. And really enjoying that as a new experience. So that's really given you a bit of an insight to what we do, and some of the things we're doing for the last 12 months. And I'm really looking forward to having you guys come and visit, because one of the things we've done as far as keeping us going commercially is invested in a commercial laundry. So that's my everyday until you guys get the chance to come back. I'm in there learning how to do folding fitted sheets, and I'm the laundry man. So
I always wanted to know how to do that, Craig. I never get it perfect. Please stick around. We've still got about 5-10 minutes more of the presentation here. So we've got some questions coming in. I really appreciate it. But yeah, we need to get you out of that laundry as soon as we can. So what I'm going to talk about here, and then please keep the questions coming because we'd love to answer them for you. Before I move into mine, question for you, Craig. Do you just have bikes, or do you have the e-trikes too, or any plans for e-trikes?
Haven't even considered that. So that's something which we need to have a look at. Yeah, good idea.
Yeah, good question, Nancy. I like that.
Yep.
And Joan is asking, what's the best time to see the seabirds? What time to see birds?
Pretty much year round. Spring's a good time in terms of a lot of, you will see the Cape Barren geese nesting, the swans will be nesting there, and they there's a couple of spots where we pretty much guaranteed we're going to be able to find those on a nest or with little ones. But we don't have, because our winters are very mild, we don't have so much variation in terms of migration. So it's more, I guess our changes in bird numbers tends to be a bit more nomadic. So if it's been really dry in the outback, then you might get some of the ducks, like pink-eared ducks will be down here, freckled ducks will be down. If it's a drought up in the no waters in the Channel Country in the middle of Australia. So it's more that nomadic movement. And even within the island, where we have a lot of birds that are nectar feeders, so rainbow lorikeets, a lot of our honey eaters. You want to find them, you just look to see where the eucalypts are flowering, because that's where those birds are going to be. And then you listen, they're really rowdy. So yeah, any time of year, but it really just depends on what species you're keen on. And we can assist with the Down Under Endeavours team to really give you that with some tips around seasonality.
Absolutely. So we've got a few pictures here while you think about a few more questions, team. And then just everybody, we have a special offer at the end of this. So I just encourage you to stick around, because that offer is exclusively for those who are on this call today. So this is my hubby, Doug, and I. This is so Craig, you could just flip through at your leisure. And I've just got a few photos on here from our trip to Kangaroo Island, our most recent trip. And really what makes Kangaroo Island so special is here's Dougie. You saw the board member earlier. So this is very early morning. He loves watching videos, doesn't he, Craig? He is obsessed with having a conversation. We had a really good conversation. Hi, Dougie. You want to say g'day? You want to say hi to everybody? Hi, Dougie. Oh, there's Huey. So you want to say hi? Hi. Yeah, look at you. You've been out having fun, haven't you? So Dougie is part of the family as well. This is what makes, Craig and all of the team at KI so special. And I mean, I've just taken all these photos with my phone, and I just want to take you there so much to show you how special this island is. Not only the people, but the landscapes. I mean, we were on foot on this beach with an expert who knew everything about what the interaction was happening on this beach here. And I know Craig knows this because this has been his backyard his entire life, but his rounded out team is just incredible, and their knowledge is exceptional, and you really cannot cover it in one day. And this to me is what makes it so special, just how great it is to drive down one of the roads. It's purely very Australian and really just naturally spectacular. And of course, I had to show Craig, you do cook up a mean meal. And so the fresh produce is just amazing. But look at the trees in the background,
All right. Sorry, that was Dougie helping me. He just pushed on the computer.
Good job, Dougie. But yeah, so I mean, it's look at that, look at those trees in the background there. It's just so special. I mean, the fish. So you need to just, an average lunch would include, Craig, do you want to describe this here? Because it was delicious.
So King George whiting cooked with a little bit of white wine and lemon, halloumi, which is a cheese we grill on the barbie, some spuds grown by the Trethewey family who live up the hill from here, hot bread rolls, fresh salad, local wines. So just simple fresh food prepared out in the bush and then shared with some good people. So
look at that
nice
vegetation. Yeah. That whiting, that fish is absolutely incredible. If you haven't tried it, you must make sure you try that. We did stop in at one of the local artists and had a chance to explore her studio, which was absolutely fantastic. But you just rock up and you wouldn't know about these places if it wasn't for Craig and his team. And that's what made it so special, was to, here I am having a look at through the books, and we were talking about the seeds just a moment ago, but boy, it was special just to chat to somebody about how much they love their island and how much I like it, because there's always a little bit of banter between Craig and them. But I wanted to show you the landscape. I mean, this is just so special. It's uniquely Kangaroo Island, and just the combination of the flora and fauna is fantastic. But I mean, that was just lunch, and I just turned around, and the smells and the sounds, the types of vehicles you're going to be in, but just to see the size of the foliage, and it's just humbling. It's very natural. And even though they've had fires, it's not the first or the last, and it will come back. But this is some of that landscape. This is probably while we're on this slide, Craig. Kevin has asked a question: any shark sighting opportunities on Kangaroo Island?
Look, I've seen great whites from the shoreline when I've been touring, maybe on 5 occasions.
Okay.
And it's largely been in the same location, and it's where there's a beautiful little tight cove with a fur seal colony, and quite deep water coming into sand. Look, if I see one, I'll buy a lottery ticket, because it's not an everyday. They're there, but there's a lot of ocean out there, and it's certainly not something which we can count on. But when you do see it, it's pretty amazing seeing those big predators.
And Kevin, if you are interested, this region of the world, it's not, it's a hop, skip and a jump to a location where we can drop you in a tank and you can actually see white sharks underwater. So if you want that to happen, we have a location and a specialist for that. It's just not right at this spot. It's a little bit further on. So here's Doug on the local golf course. That's very important, because, what do you do on a weekend, Craig, is very important also. So explain for those what's going on here, because I don't think many would have seen this type of green before.
We had an apprentice greenkeeper, and he set the mower really, really low, and so the grass got super short. This is a mate's. He bought this property because it has this lovely river frontage looking out to the ocean at a river mouth. He didn't buy it because it had a golf course on it, but that was just a bit of a bit of fun. Oh, excuse me, Mr. Noisy. So it's what's called a scrape, rather than the green is not green. And this is just a fun golf course, but we do have 3 competition courses, Penneshaw, Pandala and Kingscote, all of which have scrapes. So you've only got a handful of members for the golf course. Your annual subscription is probably what it costs playing golf in Chicago per round. It's probably $35 to give you your year. And what you do is you tee off. You may land on some grass if it happens to be winter and there's been a bit of rain on the fairway. Finally, chip up onto the green, which is not green, and then you mark where it's landed, and then you get this little rake, and you rake you're not allowed to do a trench, so that's cheating. You've got to be there's quite a protocol comes with this raking business, and then you turn it over and you smooth it, so you then have this putting surface. Now, funny story, I'm a terrible golfer. and I'd only ever played on this sort of a golf course, and putting is really, really slow. First time I played on grass, I think my putt went further than what my drive did. You know, the ball disappeared out of view. I'm going, well, yeah, I was expecting it to be, and it lands and
Yeah.
Anyway, look, like a lot of country areas, sport is the glue that holds us all together. So there's a lot of local sport going on, whether that's Aussie rules football or netball, tennis, golf, sailing. There's an amazing array of sports available on the island.
Love it.
That's the backyard.
Yeah, so this, Craig took the photo and said, good morning. We were actually staying in that room there, and we got this photo. It's like, oh yeah, I was saying to Craig, tomorrow I'd love to actually, it'd be great. I'd love to see a koala up close if we could go out. And boy, we just walked out in the backyard, and there he was. I mean, that is just absolutely incredible. So you certainly can see koalas on Kangaroo Island. And
if I look hard enough in those trees there'd be a koala there. There was one last night. I haven't seen him this morning, but there was one calling last night. They're very, very noisy neighbours. They
one you normally want, but here it makes it special. Craig, we've probably got a few minutes. Oh,
that's the noise koalas make. It's like this really rowdy, growling, grunting. Not what people expect to come out of a relatively compact furry creature. But, all good fun.
Special. And of course, we're seeing them in the wild there, so we're not going to disturb them at all. So I'm just going to introduce Candace here, because after this slide, I'm just going to take 1 minute to give you what the special offer is for everybody on this call that we're giving you for attending today. But I wanted to just introduce Candace, who's joining me this Saturday for a very, very, very special event. Usually we only have one every 3 weeks, but this is so incredibly special. So Candace, if you are there and just want to give a 1 minute, because we want everybody to be there.
I'm here for my cameo appearance.
Yay!
Craig, thanks so much. That was amazing. You may be terrible at golf, but you're much better at bowling. So I hope to see you in person soon, and we can have a rematch like old times. But yeah, so just to briefly chat about what's going on Saturday, we're going to have a virtual brunch with Derek and Beverly Joubert. You might not know who they are, but I kind of call them like the Jane Goodall of big cats. So we're really privileged and lucky to have this time with them. They've won 8 Emmys. They've been on multiple talk shows throughout the US, including Ellen and so forth, where you might have seen them. But their real passion is conservation and helping to conserve African wildlife and wilderness. So they're going to spend some time with us to answer questions, to talk about their different initiatives. They've got a great set of camps throughout Kenya, Botswana, and Zimbabwe that when you stay there, your part of your tariff helps go to fund these initiatives. So we'll be talking a little bit about that. But yeah, they've just got incredible stories about the bush. They've had some really heart-pounding encounters out there. So it's really just going to be a chat with them, getting to know them a bit better, and understanding their incredible initiatives going on in Africa. So it's 10:30 on Central Time on Saturday. It's going to be a little bit of a brunch. Still bring a bevy, coffee. I'm going to probably have a mimosa. It's fine. So yeah, hope to see you guys there. We will send out a reminder later this week. And yeah, please register if you can join us.
Thanks, Candace. Yeah, Craig, I hope you can join us for that one too, matey. It'll be fun to have animals across the pond conversations for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So just to wrap up, you had a question about how long to spend on Kangaroo Island. We usually recommend 3 nights. 2 full days is the absolute minimum. It'll be incredibly hard to cover all of this in that amount of time, but we can give you a good taste in that period of time. If you ask me, 4 nights is perfect. 4 nights is the right amount to settle down. It is a very large island. You need to cover a lot of territory, but you also need a day to relax. So if you have the time, that's what I would recommend for sure. And our exclusive offer from us. So we know that a lot of you want to go there, and we're a small business and Craig is a small business. So we're excited to support you any way we can. So we will send out a follow-up email, but for any trip that includes Craig's day tours or trips in any way, shape or form, I'm personally giving you $100 towards your trip for each tour. So we just want to give you a little something to get you started. That goes a long way in the stocking up on the Kangaroo Island gin, which I'm a huge fan of, by the way, and the wine, and just supporting the local produce when you're down there. But make sure you think about Kangaroo Island and ask us how we can put that on your next trip list. 2022, you should be planning now. There's been a 2-year pent-up demand. This is a small island if you're talking about accommodation. So I'm hoping that you guys start thinking about really actively planning for 2022 and 23. And there's only so much of Craig to go around. So the world knows Craig. He's been on TV over here in the US as well. So it's important that we make sure you are taken care of. And if we can give you a reason to start dreaming, I hope this is it. We're here for you. So it's nice to start dreaming and believing. So in that, Craig, anything else you'd like to say?
No, just thank you very much for the opportunity to spend some time with you all, and can't wait to see you face to face rather than through the little screen.
Yeah, can't wait for people to meet you and to discover KI in person, because it really is spectacular. It's Australia that most people don't get to see. Thanks, everybody. And I hope that we've given you a reason to believe and start dreaming of 2022 and beyond. And we'll chat to you soon. Cheers, everyone.
Thanks, guys.
If anyone wants to take off the mic and say hi to Craig, you are most welcome to. Otherwise, Craig and I'll just sit here and have a quick sip and say thank you for coming across the pond today with us. And thanks, Candace. I'm looking forward to this weekend. Rhonda, thank you so much. It was so nice to have your questions today, and it was so good to see you. So thank you, everyone, for attending. Does anybody want to ask us anything in particular while we're sitting here? Thanks, everybody, for attending.
Just want to say thank you.
You are most welcome. We really enjoy bringing parts of the world to you, but when you're going to see these people when you travel, it's just so nice to be able to do that before you go. We really do believe in that. And Craig, what are you doing this weekend? What's a typical KI weekend?
He's coming to virtual brunch, obviously.
Yes, besides that.
I'll probably be folding fitted sheets again. It's, my work is never done in the laundry.
Well, and thanks for the great questions today. I really love engaged questions. It really does make our day.
Oh, Marie loves your Anzac biscuits.
Oh, me too.
Yes. We can maybe we can share the recipes for that too, and as a follow up, I'll flick through the recipes so that you can share that with everybody, and they can do some baking and taste some have some Aussie treats with a morning.
Thanks, Cheryl, for your comment. It's so good to see you, matey. So thanks for popping on today. But yeah, oh my gosh, I absolutely love that idea about the Anzac biggies. Any way we can bring it a little bit closer to what we have at home, for sure. Yeah, we'll have to get some golden syrup.
Yeah, and I've also got a really good recipe for lamingtons as well. So we'll drop that in as well.
I love that one. Yeah, that's a good one for sure. Absolutely.
Lamingtons are these little treats of like a pound cake dipped in chocolate and rolled in coconut, and they're delicious. So we'll give you a head start on Aussie cuisine. And the Anzacs and lamingtons, they cause some international tension between Australia and New Zealand, because they're all so good that we all want to claim them as our own. So I think that's a good thing that we have this culinary competition, because it keeps the standards high with our morning tea snacks.
This is true. Has anybody ever seen the lamb commercials? If you haven't, there is this wonderful Australian lamb does a great promotion each year around Australia Day in January and release a commercial. They are quintessential Australian humour between Australia and New Zealand. So if you have a chance to Google that, that's a pretty funny ad. But that is us and to a T. So Craig, if anyone wants to, see a bit of cricket or netball or any of the Aussie sports when on island for what you guys do on the weekend, is that something you'd be happy to help out with if we reach out?
Absolutely, and it's interesting. A lot of people are surprised where we come out of this 200,000 acre wilderness of Flinders Chase, and just point out, say, now have a look on the right. What's that sticking up? And people are like, you see these towers, and I'm going, oh, that's a sports stadium, and they're like, and what is it really? And we pull in, and it's literally in the middle of nowhere. Here's this sports field, cricket, football, netball, and just the lights. And at night, the kangaroos come out and mow the lawn, so you don't have to worry about having a greenkeeper there. So the community, the facilities are central for the community. Rather, it's not where everyone lives, but if people are farming, so they all come in that sort of central there, and people just think that's the funniest thing, just middle of nowhere.
Yeah, I love it. Well, if there's any other questions that anyone would like to ask Craig directly. No, well, we're going to let you go here, Craig, so you can start your day and enjoy it. And thank you so much for coming live from KI with us today. It's so good to catch up with you, matey. I'm looking forward to having a bevy with you in person. And I was glad to have everyone here to enjoy a couple of minutes with us, exploring a different part of the world that someday you will get to. We'll get you there.
All right. And here's Blair saying, see ya. Oh.
Bye, Blair. Show us that great hair. There you go. So this is Blair. This is Craig's son, who makes all those great videos we'll share with everyone. Thanks, everybody.
I've just been listening.
Love it. Good to see you, matey. Thanks a million, Craig.
Thanks, Craig.
Okay.
Bye, everybody.
Great.
Thanks a lot. See you later.
Thanks, matey.
Thanks.